Turtles in Time, Hyperstone Heist, Tournament Fighters, the golden age of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles gaming delivered banger after banger, but after that glorious run, for years it genuinely felt like high quality Turtles games were gone for good. That is until Shredder's Revenge burst onto the scene and reminded the world just how powerful a pixelated ninja kick to the face could be. Now yes, the modern Turtles renaissance is real. With Shredder's Revenge and the Cowabunga collection in our hands, things are finally looking up. But what about that long, bleak stretch in between? The years where official releases were either non-existent or downright painful. Here's where things get spicy. What if I told you fans were making great Turtles games even when professional game developers were not? Today we're shining a spotlight on one fan game in particular, a title so jam-packed with characters, callbacks and chaotic fun that it might just be the ultimate love letter to classic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm talking of course about Rescue-Palooza, the fan-made beat-em-up that doesn't just celebrate the golden era of Turtles, it rebuilds it from the ground up. This isn't some half-baked Flash project or forgotten ROM hack. This is a full-blown nostalgia-loaded pixel-punching masterpiece that somehow manages to cram in more content than most official games ever dared to. Hello ladies and gentlemen, Big Daddy Top Hat here. Hit that like button if you're ready to party like it's 1991, and join me as we dive shell first into Rescue-Palooza, the greatest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game you've never officially played. If you've still not played Shredder's Revenge, now is the time. It's not just a great Turtles game, it's the modern day masterpiece that brought Turtles games back to life. And the best part, you can grab it now for under $15 using my affiliate link. But that's not all. Streets of Rage 4 is going for less than a tenner, and Double Dragon Gaiden, one of my all-time favourite beat-em-ups, is yours for under £5. And beyond that, you'll find up to 90% off of thousands of other titles, from Street Fighter 6 to Mortal Kombat 1, so go check out the deals, support the channel while you save, and enjoy the rest of this totally tubular video. Cowabunga indeed. To understand how Rescue-Palooza came into existence, we first need to rewind the clock. Back in 2003, an indie dev group called Senile Team released Beats of Rage, a free fan-made tribute to Streets of Rage that replaced the original characters and sprites with assets from the King of Fighters. What they didn't expect was the game to explode in popularity, racking up over 1 million downloads purely through word of mouth. This unexpected success revealed something the AAA industry had long ignored. Fans were starving for classic-style beat-em-ups, and from the sparks of Beats of Rage, a fire was lit. That fire would become Open Beats of Rage, or Open Bore, an open-source evolution of the engine that let fans and indie creators build their own beat-em-ups from scratch. Over the years, it's been refined and upgraded into what many now call the ultimate 2D engine, a royalty-free powerhouse capable of bringing everything from classic brawlers to entirely new game genres to life, and with that the stage was set for projects like Rescue-Palooza to emerge, not just as tributes but as full-blown love letters to the golden age of arcade beat-em-ups. One of the many creators who embraced the power of open bore was none other than Merso X, a die-hard Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan and the mastermind behind the game we're showcasing today. While he developed several retro-style PC games over the years, it's his work with the Turtles that truly stands out. Merso credits his inspiration to a moment many retro gamers will relate to, playing Super Mario All-Stars as a kid. For the first time, he witnessed what it looked like when classic 8-bit games were reimagined with updated graphics and music for the Super Nintendo. That moment planted a seed, a dream of seeing every NES game get the same 16-bit glow-up treatment. Years later, with Open Bore at his fingertips, Merso began what started as a faithful 16-bit remake of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, The Manhattan Project, then expanded to include Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, but the project didn't stop there. What began as a simple remake spiraled into something far more ambitious, the all-out fan celebration known as Rescue-Palooza. Early in development, Merso explained that for characters who appeared in the original NES games, like the Turtles themselves, he'd take the original sprites and painstakingly recolor and edit them in Photoshop. This attention to detail was essential in preserving the feel of the source material, while reimagining it all with a slick 16-bit art style worthy of the Super Nintendo era. As Merso continued the painstaking process of remaking the old Turtles game, something inevitable began to happen. He started scrutinising them more closely. With every sprite he redrew and every mechanic he replicated, he noticed more and more quirks, inconsistencies and gaps between the games and the broader Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles lore. And like many of us obsessive fans, this over-analysis quickly snowballed. But instead of simply brushing it off, Merso made a bold decision to abandon a strictly faithful remaster and instead create something that could surpass the originals altogether. As he put it, I wanted to have some flexibility in terms of enemy placement and behaviour, but I knew that if I were to take these liberties, the game would stop being a faithful adaptation of the originals. So to make it more fun for myself, development-wise, I decided to use the original games just as a template, while creating essentially a new game. This shift in direction led to a much grander vision, a game that wouldn't just reference a Turtles title, but draw from all of them, mixing classic gameplay with deep-cut lore from the animated series and beyond. To get it right, Merso called in the cavalry, mega fans like retro toy blogger Eric Setsky and John Zelenak aka Suaden, the man with the world's largest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles toy collection, both of whom helped weave accurate story elements and references throughout the project. And while many of the sprites still began as modified versions of NES originals lovingly tweaked in Photoshop, Rescue-Palooza demanded much more. With its enormous cast of characters pulled from every corner of the Turtles universe, Merso and his collaborators had to create brand new assets from scratch, transforming this once humble project into a full-blown fan-driven epic. The collaborators helped with everything from sprite editing to lore accuracy, even adapting graphics from completely unrelated games like Sunsoft's Batman, transforming them into brand new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles characters with a bit of pixel magic. But as the scope ballooned, it became clear that reworking existing sprites wasn't always going to cut it. In fact, many characters, including familiar faces from tournament fighters, had to be built entirely from scratch, with inspiration drawn directly from the animated series. Ironically, Merso would later reflect that creating new sprites from scratch was actually easier than endlessly editing old ones. But after years of work, Rescue-Palooza was finally completed and released to the public on June 13th, 2019, available completely for free via Merso X's website. The official description described it as a free fan-made beat-em-up game based on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, an update and homage to the classic NES titles with tons of characters playable for the first time. So now with that said, let's dive into this very game and explore what this fan-driven labour of love truly has to offer. Right off the bat, the game opens with a delightfully simple intro. The Turtles burst through a wall on skateboards before the camera pans stylishly to the title screen. It's short, sharp, and brimming with Saturday morning cartoon energy. However, it's the main story mode is where things kick off, and it's immediately clear this game was made with co-op chaos in mind. Up to 4 players can jump in together, with each person automatically assigned a turtle. But don't worry, you'll soon unlock the ability to switch between a massive roster of characters as you progress. Before the real action begins, players are dropped into a short tutorial. The controls are straightforward, and let's be real, the kind of people booting this game up are likely veteran gamers already fluent in side-scrolling smackdowns. Still, it guarantees that everyone knows what they're doing from the jump. Once you're through the tutorial, the game hits you with a brilliantly tongue-in-cheek cutscene, presented in art that lovingly mirrors the style of the classic NES games. In it, Splinter appears on the television screen and in a completely deadpan tone announces that to commemorate 30 years of bitter rivalry, he decided to kidnap literally everyone the Turtles know. It's absurd, hilarious, and sets the tone perfectly. Your mission? Rescue the entire cast of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles universe. A full-blown Rescue-Palooza, if you will, hence the name. From here, fans are dropped straight into a deliciously nostalgic setting, an overworld map modelled directly after the one from the original 1989 NES game. But this time it's been given a Mega Man-style twist, allowing players to choose their stage order however they like. It's a small change, but it gives the game a refreshing sense of freedom that wasn't present in the originals. Select a stage, say April's Building, and you'll immediately get the option to switch your turtle. This character swapping feature becomes even more important as the game progresses. Once the action kicks off, you'll recognise the stage layout instantly. It's a loving recreation of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game's iconic first level. Though this time, April's building isn't on fire, which is probably a relief to her insurance provider. Familiar foes from the original game return alongside some fresh additions, and the whole thing is drenched in a gooey layer of nostalgia right down to the pitch-perfect chiptune soundtrack. Just like the NES classic, April is found at the end of a stage, cornered and in peril, but instead of history repeating itself, the game throws a delightful curveball. A mechanical drill erupts through the floor and out pops Rocksteady and Bebop for a chaotic tag team boss battle. It's a brilliant escalation of the original setup, and just when you think it's going to follow the usual script and end with April being kidnapped, boom! Shredder himself bursts from the drill only to be swiftly fended off by a surprisingly capable April. No damsel in distress routine this time, just a triumphant twist on a familiar scene and a satisfying ending to the stage. Now, one of Rescue-Palooza's coolest and most rewarding features is the way it handles unlockable characters. After completing each stage, you don't just move on, you're rewarded with new fighters to play as. In the case of April's building, you unlock April herself and both Rocksteady and Bebop. Yes, the bosses you just beat become playable, and that's just a taste of what this fan-made love letter has to offer. As soon as you clear a stage, your new fighters are added to the roster and can be selected immediately on the next level's character select screen. And this isn't just a cosmic swap. Every character comes with their own unique stats, strengths and weaknesses. Some are stronger, others are faster, some better suited to group fights, others to solo runs, making experimentation genuinely fun and strategic. In total, the game boasts a staggering 60 playable characters, pulled from every corner of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles multiverse. We're talking heroes, villains, obscure deep cuts and fan favourites you'd never expect to control in a side-scrolling beat-em-up, all lovingly rendered and voiced with clips taken straight from the original cartoon. Every level is packed with nods to the classic NES and arcade games, the 1987 animated series, and even the old toy line. The sheer volume of references is borderline overwhelming in the best possible way. It's the kind of game where you'll be constantly pausing to say, wait, they put that guy in here? That's how deep Merso X went into the Turtles vault, cramming decades of lore and fan service into one game that somehow feels like a playable museum of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles history. When it comes to stage design, Rescue-Palooza constantly finds ways to surprise you. And one of the most impressive feats pulled off by Merso X is how he seamlessly fuses gameplay elements from the original 1989 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles platformer with the more traditional beat-em-up mechanics found in later titles. It's a crossover within a crossover, and somehow it works well. Take the sewer stage for example. At first glance, it plays like a familiar nod to the platforming-heavy original NES game, but just when you think you know what's coming, boom, you're battling the Pizza Monster, a boss that never appeared in the 1989 title at all. This kind of unexpected twist on nostalgia is everywhere, and it's one of the game's biggest strengths. What really keeps things fresh is how the game constantly remixes old content to create something new. 1 minute you're brawling through Key West from the Manhattan Project, the next you're knee-deep in the snow-covered park stage straight out of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game on NES. There's a real sense that every piece of classic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game history has been lovingly dissected, reassembled and enhanced, not just referenced but celebrated. On top of all of that, the game even introduces bespoke mechanics that never existed in any of the originals. For instance, you can knock enemies off of their vehicles and then ride them yourself. Think of it as a loving homage to Golden Axe, where you'd hijack mounts mid-fight. It's a fun, unexpected addition that fits the game's chaotic energy perfectly. Combat-wise, things are noticeably tighter and more responsive than the NES originals. While it doesn't quite reach the fluidity of Turtles in Time or Hyperstone Heist, it's definitely a step up from the old school jank. Characters can run, jump and perform a variety of attacks, and each one also gets a special move activated with a single button press once a meter fills. That meter recharges slowly over time, keeping special moves accessible but not spammable. It's this mix of refined combat, nostalgic level design and fresh mechanics that makes Rescue-Palooza feel like more than just a fan game. It's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles greatest hits remix, with new tracks, new features and a deep cut dedication that most official releases could only dream of matching. Now, when it comes to Rescue-Palooza's massive roster of 60 playable characters, let's be honest, not all fighters are created equal. Some are absolute powerhouses, others not so much, but frankly, I love that. This modern obsession with perfectly balanced rosters, it's a bit much. Life isn't fair or symmetrical, so why should our games be? I'll take a roster with wild highs and laughable lows over one where every fighter feels like a carbon copy. Give me chaos. Give me jank, give me flavour. Between certain stages, the game also throws in bonus rounds, introduced by none other than Cuddly the Cowlick, the trans-dimensional floating cowhead straight out of the old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics. Yes, that's a real character. These mini-games give players the chance to earn extra lives, adding a light-hearted break from the main action and giving you a bit of a leg up when the going gets tough. And once you've cleared story mode, that's when arcade mode unlocks, letting you dive back in and play through a condensed arcade style version of the game as any of the 60 characters. It's the kind of feature that adds real longevity to a fan-made title, giving you every excuse to keep coming back and trying out the full cast. Now, with so many characters, stages, references and mechanics packed into this thing, I could sit here breaking down every pixel for another hour, but I won't, because Rescue-Palooza is filled with so many cameos, Easter eggs and delightful surprises that it's best experienced firsthand. And since it's completely free to download and play, there's really no excuse not to. Upon its release in June of 2019, Rescue-Palooza was met with widespread acclaim from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fans and retro gaming communities alike. Players were quick to praise the game's sheer ambition, a free fan-made title that offered more content, characters and callbacks than most official Turtles games had in years. Many hailed it as a love letter to the franchise that truly understood what fans wanted, combining nostalgic authenticity with unexpected depth. Across online forums and comment sections, the response was overwhelmingly positive. Fans celebrated the game's sprawling roster, creative use of lore, and thrill of seeing obscure characters brought to life with care and attention to detail. There was a genuine sense of surprise that such a feature-rich and polished experience had emerged not from a major publisher, but from a passionate community effort. While some players did note that the gameplay wasn't quite as fluid or refined as arcade classics like Turtles in Time, most were happy to overlook that, acknowledging that the limitations of the engine and the scale of the project. A few mentioned minor bugs or performance quirks, but these were considered small issues in the context of everything the game offered. Overall, Rescue-Palooza was seen as a triumph, not just as a fan project, but as one of the most enjoyable and comprehensive Turtles games available. It filled a gap left untouched by the mainstream industry for years, and proved just how much heart and creativity fans can bring to a beloved franchise when given the right tools. So why not give this one a go for yourself? Rescue-Palooza is completely free to download, packed with content, and made with more love than most modern games can dream of. If you're even remotely a fan of the classic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, there's absolutely no reason not to dive in and see what all the fuss is about. And while you're at it, why not grab Shredder's Revenge too? You can pick it up for under $15 using my affiliate link below. Use my links and you'll also find up to 90% off thousands of other games, including retro gems and modern fighters alike. So go check out the deals, support the channel while you save. Happy bargains, happy gaming, and cheerio.